They're great dogs. I love dogs and cats. I love all animals.
Yeah.
Mike, what about you? Do you have a dog?
2 dogs.
What kind are your dogs?
We have miniature Dachshunds, so they're brave, mighty, and super loud, and then immediately want you to pick them up when they pick a fight with a dog that's bigger than them.
Are they your wife's dogs?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So one is 13 going on 14.
Oh.
One is 1 going on 1.
One going on 1. It's funny.
So that's that. But yeah, so I can get on board with the dementia, and we had our oldest, he had some back problems and we put him on steroids, and then he ended up getting heart failure, and now he's on meds, and it's good, but we wouldn't go without him. So
Oh, of course not. Of course not.
nope.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
All right, people that are smarter than me on Zoom, which I don't know why I can't do this. I really want to change my name to not include Blanchard Valley anymore, because that was from a Zoom meeting earlier. I normally click on the 3 little dots and it tells me I can change my name, but that option isn't here. Anyone want to help me?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I assume you're talking to Cassie and Robert, maybe?
Hey, I'm open to anyone. That's my
Not
trick.
me.
I know that when you hover over your screen and you click on the 3 little dots, it normally has an option.
Uh-oh. We are live on YouTube.
I am fine with being live on YouTube to try to figure out how I can change my name, but it's okay.
I don't know how.
It's okay.
Sorry.
I love how it immediately got quiet now that we're on YouTube. All right. I'm looking at the cast and characters here. And it looks like we got everyone. Mr. Smith or Mrs. Schaefer, we're okay to get started. You gave us a warning that we're already on YouTube, but I just want to get a confirmation that we're good.
Correct. You're all set.
Okie dokie. So welcome everyone. Thanks for attending this virtual meeting of the school board for Van Buren on this lovely, I stress that, March 18th day, because it was gorgeous outside to the point where I did not have to coach soccer tonight. So I feel really bad for the kiddos, but it was pretty gross. So welcome to everyone. If you would like to call the roll, Don.
Ms. Ebright,
Here.
Mr. Fisher,
Here.
Ms. Thomas,
Here.
Ms. Williams.
Here.
And Mr. Lifite.
Here. All right. Moving on. Next line item is Ms. Ebright, if you would like to lead us in the pledge in a moment of silence.
So let's first start with a moment of silence. And as we start this meeting, let us pause for a moment of silence to reflect. And I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And I apologize, my internet looks like it's unstable, so I'm going to get through this and then I'm going to switch my internet. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next item up is approval and any adjustments to the agenda. There were 3 adjustments to the agenda that got sent out. So those are on the new agenda. Hopefully everyone saw that in the board section. But those were 2 items under the treasurer's report and then 1 item under the superintendent's report. But is there any other items, adjustments that need to be made?
I have one.
Okay.
I'm a problem child apparently this month. Item 7, the settlement agreement did not reach final conclusion. So I would like to table that motion. We'll probably see it again next month.
So we will just take it off.
Yes.
Standpoint. So the treasurer's report will reflect items 1 through 6 of a consent agenda if we so choose. Anything else? Any board members want to make any other changes? Okay, just need a motion to approve the adjustments to the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
I got Andy is the first and Kim was super quick on the second. Is there, do you want to walk through those adjustments and Brian, or are they pretty self-explanatory?
Pretty self-explanatory.
Okay.
Yep, nothing complicated there.
Okay. All right. If you would like to call the roll in approving the adjustment to the agenda.
Ms. Ebright,
Yes.
Mr. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Lifite.
Yes, motion carries. So the the adjustments are approved. Moving on to the approval of the minutes from the February 18th meeting. Those were in the board folder for us to review. Hopefully everyone reviewed those prior to the meeting, but any comments, adjustments, anything that need to be made? If none, I just need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Who was
To
that?
approve the bo- It was Melinda to
Okay,
approve
sorry.
the board meetings. That's okay.
All right.
I'll second it.
Laura was second. All right. Any discussion? All right. Hearing none, if you would like to call the roll.
Ms. Ebright,
Yes.
Mr. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Lifite.
Yes, motion carries. Minutes are approved. Moving on to visitors' comments. So as stated, visitors' comments are until we meet virtual or in person, and even when we meet in person, any comments that are put on the board's webpage up until noon of the day of the board meeting will be read at the board meeting. We will not necessarily respond to each of those comments, but they will be heard. If we are in person, people are still more than willing to come and have their voices heard as well. So it's both an option. So having said that, I am going to go ahead and get started on reading the comments. So bear with me when it comes to that. And I apologize to anyone listening in the district standpoint. If I do not pronounce your name correctly, I greatly apologize. Having a name of Lifeite, I've lived with it a lot in my life. So, but it's not on purpose by any means. So getting started. The first one is from Mr. Buttensecker or Larry Buttensecker. This was from in regards to our last meeting, and he just said the meeting was very informative. The positive updates were appreciated. Onward. Next comment is from Katie Ward. I was recently informed of the disappointing news that the administration and Board of Education was considering making reductions in the Family and Consumer Science program. I can look at this issue from two perspectives, as an alumni and an educator. As a Van Buren alumni, I can tell you that Ms. Johnson is one of the most influential teachers I've had during my school years. She is so much more than a teacher to many people. She was an amazing example to me as a person, and I still consider her a friend today. She has dedicated so much to the school, and it's incredibly disheartening to me to think of her amazing influence on the students and the community wouldn't be considered in this decision making. As an educator myself, I am very surprised by this decision, as the overwhelming trend in education is to increase these types of programs. There's a huge emphasis on developing life skills and soft skills in the students. I had always considered Van Buren to be a progressive school that was on top of conversations about innovation education. This seems like a major step in the wrong direction. Not only would this be a mistake that would harm students' development of important skills, you would end up losing one of Van Buren's greatest assets in Ms. Johnson. Next one is from Tiffany Johnson. I have been reached out to multiple times in the past several weeks by concerned members of the community, specifically about the Family and Consumer Science position currently held by Jolene Johnson. As a graduate of Van Buren with students currently in the system, a resident and taxpayer within the district, and as someone who worked tirelessly on the last 2 levy campaigns to ensure their passage, and I am extremely concerned with the decision being made. Not only would losing a staff member like Jolene Johnson affect our school, but her courses are an important part of the curriculum offered at Van Buren. She is an integral part of the Van Buren system in over 20 years and a favorite among current and past students. Not only was she interested in us doing well in her class, but she stayed in touch and connected to students long after graduation, still giving us support. I spent hours and hours running a social media campaign to get the levy to pass based largely on keeping programs and staff. How is this going to look to the larger community when they hear the position being cut to a part-time and courses being eliminated? If this is a cost savings effort, what other cuts were made prior to deciding whether or not to cut her role in half? There have been 2 new admin hires in the past 6 months. Seems to me that these roles aren't nearly half as important as the current teaching impact students. The decision to cut this role down to part-time and to shift classes to other staff members will have a negative effect on not only the students and Ms. Johnson, but the community as a whole. We worked hard to try to repair damage done under the previous superintendent, and I feel that this decision would go against all the work that we have done. The community does not support this, the staff does not support this, and most of all, the students do not support this. I urge you to reconsider this decision and keep Jolene Johnson on staff full-time. Next one is from Emily Bowser. Dear Van Buren Local School Board of Education, I'm writing to you today to voice my concern regarding the reduction of the Family and Consumer Science position currently held by Jolene Johnson. As a resident and taxpayer in the district, Ms. Johnson and her classes at Van Buren are so important to the children's all around the education and life skills. I'm a former student at the school and I moved back to the school district so my children could have the same education I did. And I'm very disappointed to hear that her and her classes are not seen as a necessity. Mrs. Johnson is now put in a position that is hard on her and her family and is also not able to touch all the children's lives like she has done so many years. She teaches many important life skills that so many children wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to learn about. I voted yes on the levies to be sure our children got a well-rounded education and includes more than just the basics. Emily Bowser. This is from Amy. Number one, why is the position of Jolene Johnson being cut, possibly down the road eliminated, when both of the school levies passed? The community was told this would be a position to go if one of the levies did not pass, which they both did. If this was the job that was going to be impacted either way the levy went, that should have been made known. Two, Jolene is a huge asset to Van Buren schools. She was my teacher and has been my daughter's. She teaches important life skill classes to help students develop skills needed upon graduation to know how to live and function in their own. She's one of the most caring and selfless teachers I have ever known. And still to this day, after being out of the school almost 16 years, is still encouraging me, lifting me up and giving me advice. My daughter has grown to love her after just one semester with her. Getting rid of cutting her position is a huge mistake. And I know a lot of community members who feel the same way. Every skill learned in her class, I have used every day in my life. That is something that I cannot say about any other classes I have taken. I'm so sad Van Buren is not valuing or prioritizing life skills taught to our children. This is heartbreaking. Taking away these classes for our children is doing a huge disservice. This is from Jason Valentine. I never had her personally in class, but I remember she would always smile and nod and fill the halls with happiness. I know everyone who had her praised her as if she was their best friend. Please do something to reconsider keeping her in the hallways for such a great school. This is from Paige Oman. Mrs. Johnson is a wonderful teacher and her class is essential to the students of Van Buren. I loved her class and used it in life beyond high school. I protest her wages being cut and hope she can continue on a full-time teacher salary. Next is from Brent D. Beggs. This is terrible. This is a terrible and avoidable situation. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves. As a Van Buren alumni, I'm angered and outraged by the elimination of this position. And I think this is supposed to say "and said teacher," but if I read it as is, it is actually "and dead teacher." Kindly reconsider. Next is from Madison Grant Schwabel. Dear Van Buren local boards of education, I'm writing to you today to voice my concern regarding the reduction of the family and consumer science position currently held by Jolene Johnson. I'm not a current resident of the Van Buren School District, but I do plan to be in the next few years as I want my children to attend Van Buren as I went there myself and it has helped me excel in numerous ways. I'm concerned for the students of Van Buren who will not have easy access to these courses as part of a well-rounded curriculum. Regardless of a student's future career path, the skills learned in the family and consumer science classes are invaluable and provide a foundation for a life literacy education. This is a class that I think is needed more than people realize. It teaches so many life skills, some that we don't even realize we need until we're in adulthood. Altering the position from full-time to part-time drastically reduces the opportunities that are available and also impacts the persons teaching these courses. What plans are being made to retain a good and qualified teacher? What happens to the students who do not have access to take the class that are cut? This creates a gap in the curriculum offered by Van Buren. It is important that the curriculum is not just focused on college prep students. As a former student of Van Buren who took Miss Johnson's classes, I can say that I learned many valuable life skills that I have been able to carry into my adult life. I've learned how to write a check, complete finances, cook, bake, being a mother, sew, and numerous other things in her classroom that provided me with the skill set I have today to be a speech language pathologist. I've utilized more skills that I learned in Miss Johnson's classes in adulthood than any other class I took at Van Buren. I would never have made it as far as I did if it wasn't for Miss Johnson and family consumer science classes. Please do not underestimate the impact these classes will have on our school and having well-rounded students. Ms. Johnson also taught you how to be a kind and all-around better person. And thank you, Madison Grant, Schwabel, class of 2010. Sorry, I just have to scroll down. Next one is from Jacob Plummer. My comment is in the reduction of Mrs. Johnson's class. Although I have only taken 2 of her classes, that has never stopped her from greeting me in the hallways. Mrs. Johnson knows my family and always asks how they are and checks up. Mrs. Johnson has taught me many things that our core classes aren't able to. A group of students from the 2020 class have made comments to me about the things she has done for them. Comments that struck out to me was, if I hadn't taken her class, I wouldn't be in the financial place I am now. She taught me to budget and to be smart with my money. If her classes are reduced, you would be taking one of the nicest, most thoughtful teachers at Van Buren. I think this would be a huge mistake and ask that you reconsider for the best interest of the students. Next is from Nikki Wheeler. Why are you hiring teachers' aides and reducing the hours of tenured staff if there isn't enough money? Wasn't that the reason we as a community passed the income tax levy? This is the time to be transparent because it seems as if there is something going on behind the scenes. Thank you. Next is Dozery Pierce. Mrs. Johnson is easily one of the most talented teachers in a group of really talented teachers. She knows how to connect with students and get her point across and always wants best for her. She makes school enjoyable to be at. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. The next is from Bryce Smith. I believe Mrs. Johnson's class should be kept in the class schedule because of the life lessons her classes teach. There are multiple things from cooking desserts to cooking meals to making sure that those meals are cooked in the proper way. I graduated in 2019 and to this day still cook and bake some of the meals that she has taught me. Next is from Madeline Risen. Miss Johnson is a bright light that can not be replaced. She has been one of the most kind and most welcome teachers throughout Van Buren. She truly has made my high school experience worthwhile. Not only is she one of the most kind, fun, and trusting people at Van Buren High School, but she is also a fantastic teacher. Her classes are extremely interesting and so informative. They truly give someone fundamentals of life and prepare them for everything past high school. Mrs. Johnson's class need to stay. She is too loved here. Alexa Frenna. Mrs. J's class is so important. It teaches real life skills like cooking and how to sew. Her classes sparked a flame inside of me when I was young, which led me to majoring in hospitality management at Kent State. I now love to cook and bake in my free time, and it all started in her class. I still have cheesy biscuits and pizza casserole recipes from her class. If anything, school needs more classes like hers, real life and hands-on skills that can help kids down the road. Jordan Bowling. Mrs. Jordan is one of the best teachers at Van Buren who make connections to her kids, and her kids trust her and talk to her, and her classes help with things we will need to know in the future: parenting, cooking, and careers. She also teaches us about taxes, very important. This is why we should keep her, because she actually cares and she tries. And I know teachers there that don't care and don't try for the kids and barely teach the curriculum. Keep Mrs. Johnson because she is your best overall teacher. Dino Donaldson. Mrs. Johnson is not only offers some of the best classes, but she is also amongst some of the few great teachers at Van Buren. She has an incredible ability to form relationships with students and still maintain a level of professionalism. Her classes are some of the most usable and appreciated in real world. The classes are fun, engaging, useful, and I would say essential. She teaches the things that we'll actually use outside of the high school. Next is Michael Kramer. Mrs. Johnson is one of the best teachers I've ever had. She treated all her students like family and engaged with everyone. Not only did she teach, but she cared for each and every one of us. Within our class, I learned so many things. I learned how to cook, manage money, and also eat healthy. I feel as if there are traits that everyone should be taught. Being a college student and athlete, this has made me realize how important these subjects are to students. There's a basic necessary skills that must be taught to young adults. The skills they learn in those classes taught by Mrs. Johnson will help them for the rest of their lives. Having these basic life skills will prevent students from running into these problems as they grow older. Finances and nutrition are key to our health and knowledge and should be taught in every school. Next is AJ Overmeyer. Mrs. Johnson's class is the only beneficial class a student can take in high school at Van Buren. Next is Paige Sudlow to the Van Buren School Board. My name is Paige Sudlow and a Van Buren alumni class of 2014. I've been notified that Mrs. Johnson's position as the family and consumer science teacher is in jeopardy of being cut in half, which would cause her to leave in order to support her family. I wanted to share my thoughts as to why I believe her job should be saved. The content that Mrs. Johnson teaches is applicable to all students. Every student needs to have the basic knowledge of how to prepare food, manage their own money, how to choose basic grooming needs for both their households and self-grooming, etc. Two, as an educator myself, the content she teaches has helped me in the classroom to become the best teacher I can be. We talked about childcare, the signs of abuse, ways to help children with social emotional needs. We had tough conversations that has helped me recognize what my children need in the classroom. Three, she has shown students how to be strong, independent young men and women through her teaching as well as her advice. She's not just at school to be a teacher. She is there to be a mentor for whatever students need. I can confidently say that she would drop whatever she was doing to help a student in need. Mrs. Johnson has helped so many students in her 20 years of teaching. I hope you all consider keeping her as a full-time staff member to keep educating our youth on the important subjects that she teaches. 2014 Van Buren alumni, Paige Sudlow. Next is Michael Karras. Now more than ever, life skills such as what is offered by Mrs. Johnson are needed. Being a Van Buren alumni, I think of the great leaders we were able to look up to. Forcing Jolene Johnson to leave Van Buren would be a travesty and would be the final push for myself to not support Van Buren in the future. The show choir program has already been mutilated by bad leadership. Don't let a career be ruined by it as well. Next is Taylor Smith. Save Mrs. Johnson's job. I graduated from Van Buren High School in 2013, and Mrs. Johnson was one of my teachers for multiple classes. Children need the classes she teaches. It's actually things you're going to need to know in your lives. Shana Pottinger, this class is needed for so many reasons: to learn basic life skills, to discuss important topics, and a place where kids can have fun and feel safe, a place kids look forward to going. It would be a mistake of yours if you chose to let her go. I have bragged to students from other schools several times about Mrs. Johnson's courses and the opportunities it's given us. If you want Van Buren to be diverse and stand out, this is what you need. Janelle Sika. The consumer science classes at Van Buren should definitely be an option next year for students. They teach valuable life skills and help students be ready for future situations like personal finances, family development, cooking, and lots more. These classes are crucial to the students, and many people look forward to them every year. Lacey Kern, Mrs. Johnson is by far one of the largest assets the Van Buren School has. She provided me a safe place to learn the things that core classes don't teach. She was the only teacher who helped me understand how to create a budget. She also taught all of us how to build healthy meals that were balanced and also how to cook them. Honestly, Van Buren doesn't offer a lot in the way of unique classes and learning opportunities. Considering cutting on the most valuable is a huge mistake. Next is Morgan Rayo Flick. Mrs. Johnson is more than just a teacher. She is one of the most impactful mentors Van Buren could have. She is the one teacher that taught us how to properly budget. If she didn't, then I personally would have been lost after graduation. Her life skills taught me more than any other textbook could have. I felt secure knowing how to handle my finances for college along with knowing how to properly cook for myself because of her class. Students need these types of classes to help prepare them as much as possible for the next step. Mrs. Johnson is also a lot more than just her classes. She is there to support each and every student in whatever they are doing, whether it was with another subject, sports, relationships, or personal matter. She was always there with an open ears. The teachers like Miss Johnson are the ones that make Van Buren the school that it is, and you cannot lose her and act like Van Buren will be the same great school. It would be such a shame to know that the future Van Buren students would lose the opportunity to learn from such an amazing woman. In my opinion, students would be losing the chance to learn the most they could from Van Buren without Mrs. Johnson. Thank you. Spencer Ingweiser, sorry. Hi, my name is Spencer. I am a former Van Buren grad and currently attend Bowling Green State University, where I live in an apartment off campus with no meal plans from the school. Due to that, I am subject to more of the real world much faster than other students. Frankly, if it wasn't for the things I learned from Mrs. Johnson's class, the first year would have probably been more difficult. Some of the things being food safety, kitchen safety, cooking techniques, how to understand and break down recipes, proper nutrition, healthy habits, budgeting, shopping, writing checks, planning budgets, taxes, planning for retirement, and in all honesty, planning throughout your life. The list could go on, and I use all of this throughout the month, every month. Yes, this is thought to be common knowledge, or your parents should have taught you this, which, yes, my parents did teach me some of this, but around 50% of college kids don't know how to cook. 87% of college kids don't understand personal finances, which, yes, some parents do try to teach their kids, but in all honesty, they don't all know what they're doing. 67% of adults are getting financial advice from social media, and only around half could even explain what a 401k, interest, or bankruptcy are. Now that you've read this, what's your goal? On the Van Buren website, it says, create the Van Buren experience by empowering all. Is this it? Please take a minute to explain what your goal is and how this cut proposes to your goal. Since without this cut, you are taking a step towards the original goal by giving students the opportunity, which many other schools don't offer, to learn life skills that are actually help them in their life, no matter what they decide to do. Also, what do you want Van Buren experience to be? A subpar education that only teaches you to the bare minimum, because that's the route you're going. Now, this is, sorry, I lost my spot when it comes to it. I'm taking the next, by giving students this opportunity, which many other schools don't, no matter what they decide to do. Also, what do you want from Van Buren experience to be? A subpar education that only teaches you the bare minimum, because that's the route you're going. Know this as well by making cuts like this cut cost, or whatever the thought is, you only hurt the students and the future of the community. Next is Mitchell Endicott. Mrs. Johnson's job is one that truly prepares you for the real world. She taught us things that most high school kids never got to learn, and we are so lucky to have had that. She has been an incredible teacher for countless years at Van Buren, always being inclusive, friendly, and she teaches the most important things. If she were to lose her job, I would be incredibly disappointed, angry, and hurt that she was treated like this after her years and years of commitment to Van Buren. She deserves to stay not only because of who she is as a person, but because of the incredible value that her and her classes bring being to Van Buren students and their endeavors and outside the world. You guys are making a massive mistake. Next is Abigail Allen. Dear Van Buren local school boards of education, I'm writing to you today to voice my concern regarding the reduction of the family and consumer science position currently held by Jolene Johnson. As a resident taxpayer in the district, I am concerned for the students of Van Buren who will not have easy access to these courses as part of a well-rounded curriculum. Regardless of the student's future career path, the skills learned in the family and consumer science classrooms are invaluable and provide a foundation for a life literacy education. Altering this position from full-time to part-time drastically reduces the opportunities that are available and also impacts the person teaching the course. What plans are being made to retain a good and qualified teacher? What happens to the students who do not have access to take the classes that are cut? This creates a gap in the curriculum offered by the Van Buren, and it is important that the curriculum is not just focused on college prep students. As a former student of Van Buren who took Mrs. Johnson's classes, I can say that I learned many valuable life skills that have been able to carry into my adult life. Not only did Mrs. Johnson teach me how to cook and bake, she also taught me many life lessons that go beyond the classroom. I used to go to her class during my study halls. Mrs. Johnson taught me about life and responsibilities. She was a listening ear when I was having a bad day and always gave great advice. She taught me how to be a mature and responsible adult and how to navigate the sometimes muddy waters of being a high school and dealing with the emotions and immaturity. She is an excellent role model for Van Buren students, and I still keep in contact with her. She's followed me through into adulthood and always been my cheerleader. She speaks volumes to her character and why she is a vital asset to Van Buren. As a parent of 3 boys who will attend Van Buren starting next year, please know that Mrs. Johnson and the family consumer science position are necessary at Van Buren. I can only hope that my boys get the opportunity to take these classes someday, and hopefully with Mrs. Johnson. I know they will admire her as much as I always have, and she will teach them many valuable life lessons that as a parent, I cannot. They always say it takes a village, and I am elated to have Mrs. Johnson as part of the village. Should you have any further questions as to why I do not feel the reduction in the family and consumer science position is the best interest of the students, please feel free to reach out to me. Next is Ashley Bisbee. Mrs. Jolene Johnson needs to keep that department at Van Buren going. It's basically one of the only classes that actually teaches you stuff that you need to learn about adult world, cooking, sewing, and definitely the discipline. She makes sure her students are safe in the kitchen, and she truly cares about her students like they were her own. Van Buren will only lose value if they get rid of her department or even cut it in half. Do not make that stupid mistake. 2016 Van Buren alumni. All 13 years I was at this school, and one of the only classes I looked forward to was Mrs. Johnson's. Next is Patti Strasbaugh. I do not live in your school district, but as a parent of children that were part of home ec in another district, it is a very important class that students learn life skills, the basics of being an adult. Please don't cut this program in half. It will be a grave mistake. Denise Miller. I'm a 2019 graduate of Van Buren High School. Ms. Johnson was one of the most influential teachers I ever had at Van Buren. She taught me life skills I would not have learned otherwise, including basic food science, budgeting, financial planning, family planning, etc. She even taught me how to sew. Without her classes, I'm confident in saying that I would not have been prepared for the real world after graduation. She teaches basic life skills that some students do not have the luxury of being taught at home, such as myself. Honestly, I feel she is like a mother to many students. She genuinely cares about each individual that passes through the door each day and offers advice when they need it. She even taught me which vitamins to take to help balance out side effects of my insomnia, and I still take them to this day. Without Mrs. Johnson, I would not have left Van Buren feeling prepared for adulthood or my future in general. Olivia Sattler, to whom it may concern, I hope you will reconsider your decision to reduce or eliminate the current position of Jolene Johnson. The impact that Mrs. Johnson has on so many children's lives is incredible. She's teaching each student lifelong skills for survival that some may not get in their own homes. This position is unbelievably valuable, and I am unsure how in today's society we can go without this type of class in our schools. I am a proud graduate of Van Buren Schools, where I attended from kindergarten to high school. It's this position where if this position were to be reduced or eliminated, I would be let down by the board and all who made the final decision. Jolene is not only a spectacular teacher, but a lifelong friend. Many students return on school visits after graduation and make it a point to stop to see her specifically. If we see her outside of school, no matter how long after graduation, we ensure to stop and catch up on how both our lives are going. Overall, I cannot think that this position's importance in so many children's lives could become part-time, worthy, or eliminated. I truly would be let down by those officials who allow this position as such to be cut from the education of our children. Next is from Matt Harrington. My comment is on the administrator. Sorry. My comment is that any administrator or school board member should be able to speak to their reasoning behind the decisions they are recommending or approving. Changes are being implemented around the school by length, future scheduling options, and staff, and too often it doesn't seem there is a clear reason. Do we have a policy or precedent? Is the budget driving these changes? Please use your position of authority to challenge the recommendations brought for your approval. If you wouldn't feel comfortable explaining why a decision was made to someone else, then you need to dig deeper. The next one is Ashley Reachley. I am writing this to tell you guys that Mrs. Johnson and her classes are a great asset to Van Buren School. Being a Van Buren alumni myself and having a son currently in high school at Van Buren, we would be upset to see her leave. Her classes pertain to everyday life, and these are not classes we should be parting with. I have known Mrs. Johnson to be an amazing mentor to all the students throughout the years. I personally voted yes to pass the last 2 levies to keep our amazing teachers in the building and for kids to be able to continue with electives and all extra opportunities the school can give them. I'd be extremely disappointed with Van Buren schools if they move forward with this. I may not vote yes next time for a levy, as well as other adults I have talked to. Next one is from Emily. Mrs. Johnson went above and beyond and made every person in her class feel like they were special. This is the one class I actually felt involved in. She deserves more than anyone to remain at Van Buren because of the dedication and impact she has made on so many people. Van Buren wouldn't be the same without her, and it would be a shame to lose such a great teacher and influencer. Next is from Brandon. Mrs. Johnson's classes are some of the only classes that will help in the real world and later in life. She teaches the fundamentals on what life will be like. Some of the following are cooking, adult life, life skills, etc. Not only is she a good teacher who is important, she is also a great person to talk to. She is very nice and understanding and will always say hi to people. Next is from Kristen Hudock. I'm writing to tell you my concern for Mrs. Johnson's job. I just wanted the board to know that last year when my son was dealing with mental health and at an extremely low spiral point where suicide was a thought for him, Mrs. Johnson was a safe place. She watched over him and helped him get him through a tough time that we didn't think he would get through. He is currently a senior, and as you know, not many seniors take a full course load. But my son currently has 2 classes with Mrs. Johnson that he doesn't need because she means that much to him. I tear up as I write this because as a teacher myself, it is the behind the scenes, all the extra things that make a teacher worth keeping in a district. Hands down, Mrs. Johnson is worth keeping. Next is from Brittany Smith. Mrs. Johnson's class was a lifesaver for me. I was always home by myself, and if it wasn't for her class, I wouldn't know how to cook them the proper way. This class is necessary. Kids need to learn how to take care of themselves and their family. Daily life skills is the most important skill a kid can take with them as they get older. We all know that math, English, and science are important too, but how can you not see that teaching a kid life skills is not necessary? Who taught you to cook? Some kids need a teacher to teach them these skills. Me being one of those kids, and I know many other students need teaching who can teach these kids those skills. Think of the kids, not the money. Actually, banks, family, and consumer science is a class that often has its importance and impact overlooked. This class helps prepare students for their lives as an adult. You may never know how a student's home life is. This class helps them learn life skills that their parents may not teach them at home, or simply put, just may not be as knowledgeable as Mrs. Jolene Johnson. This is why it's important you to not reduce the class in half to halftime. Not only will you be affecting the knowledge students will gain from the classes, but you'll also be affecting the kind and sweet teacher who has spent the last 20 years doing what she can to make life better for students, not just in the future, but also now. So please rethink your plans, because it will affect many. Thank you. Jane Catlett, please do not cut a class like this. It is very beneficial to our children. Hunter Flick, I never took a class with Mrs. J, and she still had an impact on my life. Getting rid of her and her classes would be a stupid thing for the school to do. Her classes help people with everyday stuff at high school. Kennedy Rader, Mrs. Johnson is the most thoughtful and kind Van Buren teacher. She cares for her students and loves what she does. Her classes teach a lot of valuable things like cooking, how to write checks, how to keep a checkbook, and many things about nutrition. These things are very important for us when we get into the real world. It would be a big mistake to get rid of someone who has such a meaningful impact on students. I love Mrs. J, and I know it would be real hard for us students to learn the valuable things she teaches anywhere else. Sydney Atchison, the skills taught and learned in these extra classes provide to these students and allow them to gain real life skills as a human. Teachers like Jolene are not only amazing leaders, but go above and beyond to make students feel warm and welcome to school during tough times such as COVID. It truly saddens me that the teachers such as her are at risk of losing their job they took and ran with to impact the younger individuals of a school district that they love. I'd ask that we please rethink keeping some of these teachers that help students gain skills that maybe some parents don't teach their children throughout their busy lives. These classes are just as important as the rest. Michael Tabler, I would like to show my support for keeping Mrs. Johnson as a full-time teacher in the middle school and high school. Mrs. Johnson has had a consistent history of teaching life skills to the students of Van Buren. Her present and past students consistently praise the job that Mrs. Johnson does each year. She is one of the favorite teachers at Van Buren and has a long-term relationship with these kids well after graduation. The impact she plays in the lives of our children is unmeasurable. The courses she teaches are so crucial for these kids as they move into college and getting their career started. Let's not set our kids back. Van Buren has always been highly looked at for the education we provide. The decision to cut her position back would be a negative effect on the reputation we have built. Thank you. Allison Maynard, I am a 2015 graduate of Van Buren High School. I've spoken to Mrs. Johnson on this matter, and she is only able to cite that her program does not align with the future goals of the school. Mrs. Johnson has said that she has not seen the future goals in writing as proof as to why her program would be irrelevant. As a teacher myself, I was inspired by all the staff, including Mrs. Johnson, to become a teacher. I struggle to grapple with a goal for any district that includes eliminating a vital member of the community. The goal for any school should be to cater to the whole students, and they're not only the math, science, social studies, and English learning students. Mrs. Johnson's class is critical to achieve these goals for students in the Van Buren community. Next is Dawn Frederick. I am flabbergasted that a teacher that has been in the district her entire career is whom you have decided to put on the chopping block. Classes she teaches are life skills. Not every student has a nurturing environment in which they are raised, and it's these students that need to take these classes. Let's not forget all the students that enjoy her as a teacher that take them simply because it's her teaching. Mrs. J, as the students have affectionately called her since the beginning, is more than a teacher. The past, present, and future students, along with their parents, trust her, can talk to her, know that they are heard, they love her. With that being said, she has family, friends, faculty members, and students rallying behind her. Is she truly the one that you have decided that needs cut? I truly pray, along with many others, that you figure out another way to to do. Make your cuts and not use Mrs. Johnson as a scapegoat. I promise you, those who pass the levy won't do it again when you need it. Sincerely, Don Frederick. Next one is from John. How can you give someone a $14,000 per year raise while on a spending / hiring freeze and decide to get rid of a class that benefits our children? Explain why you all feel these classes are not important enough to keep. Why is cooking, nutrition, family, finances among many of the skills viewed as not important to keep? These are classes I use more in everyday life than any other classes I took in high school and middle school. I am disappointed with all the sneaky behind the scenes stuff that is going on. This is no longer the school I have grown to love over the years. Why did two board members up and quit right before this all came to light? Next is from Lee Sereno. I can't imagine Van Buren without Mrs. Johnson. Both my girls have been hugely blessed to have her as their teacher. Both girls think the world of Mrs. Johnson. She truly cares about each and every student. You would be making a huge mistake by eliminating this position. Schools need more Mrs. Johnson, not less. Please reconsider. Next is Megan Clays. Dear Van Buren Local School District Board of Education, as we have just surpassed the year anniversary of a nationwide shutdown, I encourage all of you to reflect on what this pandemic has forced upon you and your community. Within these 12 months, I have made more meals at home for my husband and myself than ever before. And I know I am not alone in sharing this statistic. I also know that I am not alone when I tell you I learned how to follow a recipe because of my family and consumer science classes. My family has experienced a loss of wages and a loss of employment within the last year, which has had a heavy impact on our average household income. I understand how to set a budget and stay within the amounts while I shop to account for these loss of income because of family and consumer science classes. Out of all of my required academics, my family and consumer sciences classes provided me the most important life skill that I used every single day since my adolescence. To the school board members who are considering the elimination of this position of high value, such as the family and consumer sciences, I ask each school board member to acknowledge that whomever is taking care of your household and nutrition did not learn those skills on their own. May I also ask each school board member to consider the immense loss that would occur to our school by eliminating the employment of Mrs. Johnson. Mrs. Johnson is kind, caring, and dedicated to her job and her students. She has been unwavering in her commitment to the community for the last 20 years, and it's my duty as a taxpayer and alumni to stand with her, defend her job, and show my commitment to her. Thank you for your time and consideration. Rachel Silver, Mrs. Johnson was my favorite teacher during my time at Van Buren. I can't tell you how many times post-grad I've used the things that she taught me. Her classes teach actual life skills that I wouldn't have learned in high school otherwise. Her classes were fun in addition to being educational, and I can't stress how big of an impact she's had in my life. Cade Whitaker, as a graduate of the 2020 class, not attending college and working in the Toledo Correctional Institution, I use Mrs. Johnson's classes more than almost any class I have taken at Van Buren. Looking past the core paper and pencil, Mrs. Johnson approach while in the classroom was professional, inspired, and showed kids like myself who never enjoyed school that there is other careers to pursue other than the core subjects. While entering the classroom, you could see and feel that Mrs. Johnson was prepared and wanted to teach. Her class goes far beyond the understanding how to do math problems. Getting rid of Mrs. Johnson's classes take away so many different opportunities and inspiration for children who don't exactly want to attend college post-high school. Class of 2020 graduate, Cade Whitaker. Cheryl Cares. You may think that because my kids graduated from Van Buren 10 plus years ago, I wouldn't care about the current situation. The fact that a life skill class teacher is being put on part-time status is absolutely ridiculous. Being taught life skills in school is imperative, and those who do not necessarily learn these skills at home, not because they have neglectful parents, but because most caregivers, dads, moms, single parents, etc., have to work many hours outside the home to keep the lights on and food on the table. I was fortunate enough to be able to spend many hours volunteering at Van Buren. I started with playground duty and in the lunchroom. Then as the kids got older, with music boosters, volleyball team, golf team, concession stands, post-prom, etc. I got to know Miss Jolene Johnson, and she is clearly a high quality teacher. She not only knows that she is talking about in the classroom, but there are many students who have relied on her over the years to be there for them when they need someone to talk to. Our school system cannot keep letting our kids figure out how to develop life skills on their own. Life and the skills necessary to navigate it is not a part-time job. It's absolutely a full-time job, and Mrs. Johnson should remain a full-time teacher. Thank you. Riley, Mrs. Johnson is one of the only teachers that teach us basic life skills. Ashley, play our ball. As a Van Buren alumni, I'm saddened that reducing Mrs. Johnson's teaching hours is even an option for the board. Mrs. Johnson's class was one of the only classes I took at Van Buren that had any real life application, and I still talk about their influence today. I had a global education at world-renowned private schools, and Mrs. Johnson stands out as one of my favorite educators. And I know taking away her class will greatly reduce the value of Van Buren's education. Be more than a textbook and allow students to continue to explore education and lifelong lessons in an unconventional way. Please reconsider your position. Nita Huber, I am strongly opposed to the proposed reduction of the consumer science position to half-time. While I expect the school board and administration to be responsible stewards of the district funds, I don't agree with the cutting of this position considering the contribution this educator has made to the students of Van Buren for many years. The financial savings would be minimal at best, and the loss of her knowledge and skills would be substantial. Courtney Huck Campbell, people complain constantly that young adults are going into the world without knowledge to do basic everyday tasks. And here Van Buren is trying to take away classes that actually teach some of these skills. I had the privilege of taking 2 of Mrs. Johnson's classes, and even though I knew basic cooking, baking skills, many of my classmates did not. Reassessing the curriculum if you must, but it is so important that students obtain knowledge that is more than purely academic before entering the world. My husband and I worked hard to move into the Van Buren school districts for our children, and without hesitation voted yes on the levy. Don't make us regret it. Next is Stacy Foltz. I have been a Van Buren resident since I was born, and I've passed countless levies in order for us to keep the things we have that would include teachers. I helped get this last levy passed, and I'm very upset that you would look to get rid of Mrs. Johnson in her classes. I thought the passing of the levy would keep this from happening. Apparently, we had been told false information once again by our school board. I think you need to rethink the decision. Get your students' opinions and parents. Keep Mrs. J. Anna Mori, I do not like the idea of taking away Mrs. Johnson's classes. I think her classes are really the only life skill classes Van Buren has. And I think getting rid of classes that helps us have future skills that don't involve school is silly. Unless there is other options for kids that want to go into nutrition and foods like me. For other options that help with family skills, we should not get rid of these classes. Wyatt Atchison, this is on the topic of Mrs. Johnson. Firing her would be one of Van Buren's biggest mistakes. She's helped myself and my friends during her high school personally and throughout our studies. Her advice alone makes a huge difference. Mrs. Johnson's classes are very helpful to the real work, unlike other classes. Do not get rid of one of Van Buren's prize teachers. Wyatt Atchison. Summer Cipher, sorry. Mrs. Johnson is and always has been 100% for the students. She has a special connection with kids, a connection kids can't find any elsewhere. She has devoted a lot of time into helping students with academic, personal situations, and so much more. Mrs. Johnson is very progressive with teaching. In addition, she represents all the traits of a Black Knight. Mrs. Johnson is a phenomenal teacher and a phenomenal person overall. Riley, Mrs. Johnson is the only teacher that I feel actually connects with her students and tries to have a relationship with them and teaches in an easy to understand manner. Quite frankly, one of only 5 teachers that I like. She has impacted so many and truly cares about the future. To see her go would hurt Van Buren in a very negative way. Tyler, I don't think we should get rid of Mrs. Johnson at all. She's the only teacher that teaches things that we need to know when we get to the real world. There's a huge gap between high school and college because we aren't getting taught things in the real world. And I really hate for all the kids to be very clueless when they go to college or into the working world and have all this stress and worry because all they know is how to write an essay or how to solve a math problem, because a lot of parents don't teach their kids simple things because they simply don't care or don't have time. Next is Bree Orchard. Mrs. Johnson is one of the reasons why I continue to pursue a career in nutrition. Both her food and nutrition course and her international cuisine course during my time as a high school student at Van Buren fueled my passion for the subject. Due to the way Mrs. Johnson educated us on important topics related to nutrition, I was eager to learn more. She was always available to talk through with me and answer my questions to the fullest extent. To this day, I still utilize many of her recipes that I learned in her cuisine cooking classes. The guacamole is a friend and family favorite, and I continue to get requests to make. I graduated from the Ohio State University in May of 2019 with a bachelor's of science in human nutrition. In January of this year, I passed the registered examination for dietitians, and I am now a registered dietitian. There are many factors that played a role in my love for food and nutrition. Mrs. Johnson is among them. Without her classes at Van Buren, I may not have continued to seek out nutrition as a potential career. Outside of this classroom, Mrs. Johnson is an amazing person to just sit down and talk with. I can remember many conversations where I was going through some difficulties, and she made me feel heard and cared for. I appreciate Mrs. Johnson more than she probably knows, and I am forever grateful for the role she played in my life for the 3 years I had at Van Buren. Her position as a teacher and mentor is crucial, and I'm urging that you keep it as is with no reductions. Thank you. Kristen Schreck, although I was unable to fit Mrs. Johnson's class in my schedule, she is still a vital role to Van Buren schools. I've attended Van Buren my whole academic career this far, and as a senior, do not know how our school will run without Mrs. Johnson. All I hear in the hallways are good things about what she was teaching in her class that day. She also always has a smile on her face in the hallway and greets everyone with much energy. I urge you to vote no to the changes to Ms. Johnson's class to a part-time position. Sarah, this is a much needed class. If you do not feel it is necessary, I ask you to look at your life. Ask yourself how you learn to do basic things in a life like cook meals. If you don't have a good teacher, your mother, to teach you, how would you be able to care for yourself or your family properly? Please think of the students and absolutely need this class to help them become successful adults in the future. Noah Shoemaker, do not lay Miss Johnson off after you promised the community that you were not going to lay off any teachers if the levy passed. Jordan Keckler, if I had to pick my favorite teacher at Van Buren, it would be Miss Johnson. This is because of how positive an environment she provides for us students and the care that she has for us inside and outside of the classroom. She has so much passion for being a teacher, and it definitely shows. Not only does she make learning fun, she teaches us many life lessons to help lead us down the best path possible. Getting rid of her would be the biggest mistake and would be taking away so many learning opportunities for students. Her classes teach endless skills that will be needed after high school. I have taken almost every class that Mrs. Johnson teaches, and I have learned so much. When the pandemic started, Mrs. Johnson was one of the only teachers to reach out and check in on me. She was also the only teacher who went out of her way to drop stuff off at students' homes so that we could get the best learning experiences possible. She's always going above and beyond for her students, and getting rid of her position shouldn't even be up for discussion. I hope everyone sees how big of an impact Mrs. Johnson had on both the school and her students. Michelle Saltzman, I'm very disheartened to learn that you are considering cutting Mrs. Johnson's classes from Van Buren curriculum. Two of my kids have had her in recent years and learned so much. Mrs. Johnson gave my kids life skills that they have implemented in their college life. As you know, not all children thrive with the book learning part of school. Mrs. Johnson taught skills that will benefit every student's life. The goal should be to help prepare students for life after Van Buren, and Mrs. Johnson played a big part in my kids' successful transition to a life on their own. Please don't deny future students the same chances to learn from Mrs. Johnson. Macy McCartney, Mrs. Johnson's class taught me an incredible important lesson, how to make a budget, not only the only class that taught this in my college prep classes, how to create and cook well-rounded meals, why healthy eating is so important, what healthy relationships look like and why they are so important, and most importantly, her send off for the seniors into the real world is something I will never forget. She cares deeply for the students and fosters a real relationship with them, which is why she makes such an impact. Why are these courses worth less than any other elective, gym, music, shop class, etc.? How was the decision made to cut the teacher who only teaches real life lessons? Being a healthy weight starts in the kitchen, not in exercise. Being in a healthy relationship starts with knowing what a healthy relationship looks like, which some kids might not know because of their own life experiences. Being a responsible physical adult starts with learning how to budget and reinforce the learning behavior over a long period of time, not just by a financial advisor from a bank coming in one day to teach about finance. The courses Mrs. Johnson teach are extremely valuable. Please do not take these teaching moments away from the children who need these lessons. Thank you. Ashley Smith, as a fellow educator and one that works with low-income students, her classes are types of classes students need. They need a fun, realistic life skill building class to do the things they may not learn somewhere else. Whether students take her classes out of necessity or desire for something atypical to the rest of their schedule, she provides something for everyone. What good are students proficient in math, yet they can't cook basic meals, or better yet, they don't know they enjoy cooking meals? What good are students who are textbook proficient in science if they are unaware of the nutrition behind fueling their body well? What good are students who show proficiency in English if they haven't learned how to budget or find resources in their own community? Her classes help students apply content learned elsewhere and give them opportunity to develop hobbies and habits that are not always necessary, but bring joy to their lives. If you were a student, which classes would you take? Would you want those same choices and opportunities? Dale Kramer, I understand that VB school administrators and the school board believe the basic life courses taught by Mrs. Johnson are not relevant. I would like to express to you that these courses are very relevant. Many students do not know how to cook, and many people do not have the basic understanding of personal finance. These are classes that can help people later in life, and it would be a mistake to deprive students of the opportunity to learn basic skills if they have no other place to learn them. Besides these courses being helpful and relevant, I believe Mrs. Johnson is a good teacher and an asset to the Van Buren schools. Through my son's time at Van Buren schools, I would discuss with not only him, but a good number of his friends throughout on classes and teachers. One thing I did notice was, as well, of all students had respect for Mrs. Johnson, and she was also well liked by them. I hope you realize not her and the class she teaches I hope you realize that her and the classes that she teaches are a positive for Van Buren schools. Teresa Kramer, it's my understanding that the school board and the school board administration don't believe Mrs. Johnson's classes are relevant. I'm really disappointed in Van Buren wanting to eliminate classes that are important to all students, whether or not they go to college. These are classes and skills that students may not get taught at home. Not all students know what they want to do in life or if they want to go to college. The variety of classes offer alternatives and ideas to these students. Mrs. Johnson truly cares about her students. She builds relationships with them and wants to see them succeed in the classroom and in life. Mrs. Johnson treats the students as if they were her own children. She's firm yet helpful and cares for the children. As a parent of a student that was in her class, it was a relief knowing my children had someone they could trust and confide in if there was ever a problem. I have never heard any students or parents say anything negative about Mrs. Johnson. It's always been positive about how the kids love her as a teacher. It would be a mistake for Van Buren to eliminate Mrs. Johnson and her classes from the program. She's more than just a teacher. She's an asset to the school. Next is Ray Wolfe. Dear Van Buren Board of Education, as a taxpayer in the Van Buren School District and an alumni of Van Buren Schools, I would like to share my concerns about the reduction in the family and consumer science position from a full-time to a part-time. I do not understand the cutting and reducing position after passing 2 levies and essentially guaranteeing that no jobs would be lost. Reducing this program is problematic for a few reasons. First, many students need a family and consumer science class to learn valuable life skills for their futures. Many students don't have the opportunity to learn these skills at home, and these classes are a safe place to learn them. On top of this, Mrs. Johnson is much more than just an effective teacher. She is also an exceptional mentor to students and other teachers. Losing her from the teaching staff would change the school climate in a negative manner. Are any plans being made to maintain Mrs. Johnson as a full-time position? What about students who need to take classes like family and consumer sciences and no longer have the access to them? In a world that is stressing that trades are just as important as going to college, classes like family and consumer sciences are important to keep in your curriculum. As a former Van Buren student, I took some of Mrs. Johnson's classes, and she was always my mentor teacher in the freshman mentoring program. I learned valuable skills in her classes that I will use for the rest of my life. She also taught me the valuable lessons about life that I needed as a high school student. Teachers like Mrs. Johnson don't come around very often, and it would be a tragedy to lose her and to cut down the program that she built up in her 20 years at Van Buren. I implore you to reconsider reducing the family consumer science position and keep it as a full-time position. Thank you for your time and consideration, Ray Wolfe. Amy Brown, please state in detail why you have determined that the family and consumer science program should be severely cut back. Is it because of a decline in student interest in these classes? Please do not use examples of class sizes and offerings from the 2020-2021 school year, as I do not believe the school year is a fair or accurate example of student interest or ability to take all of the courses that they would have in a normal school year. These courses are very practical and useful to help prepare students for 2 real life situations. Students have different interests and different needs, and I feel it would be wrong to eliminate these classes and programs because you personally don't see the need or value. After passing 2 levies this year, and I voted for both, I feel misled and confused at the elimination or cutback of a vital program. First, the French class, and now this. I am a Van Buren alum and mom of 3 Van Buren students, 2 of which have graduated, and I have always been proud of our small school and the many opportunities afforded to our kids and the excellence of our program. This is not a proud moment for Van Buren. To say I am disappointed in our school is an understatement. Thank you for your time. Ashley Greaser. Dear Van Buren local school boards of education, I am writing to you today to voice my concern regarding the reduction of the family and consumer science position currently held by Jolene Johnson. As a resident taxpayer in the district, I am concerned for the students of Van Buren who will not have easy access to these courses as part of a well-rounded curriculum. Regardless of the student's future career path, the skills learned in the family and consumer science classrooms are invaluable and provide a foundation for a life literacy education. Altering these positions from full-time to part-time drastically reduces the opportunity that are available and also impact the person teaching these courses. What plans are being made to retain good and qualified teachers? What happens to the students who do not have access and take the classes that are cut. This creates a gap in the curriculum. As a former student of Van Buren who take Mrs. Johnson's classes, I can say that I learned many valuable life skills that I have been able to carry into my adult life. Furthermore, the relationships she established with students carry into our adult lives and play an important role in the development beyond the classroom. Next is Christina Rolls, Dear Van Buren Local School Board of Education. I'm writing to you today to voice my concern regarding the reduction of the Family and Consumer Science position currently held by Jolene Johnson. As an alumnus of Van Buren, I am concerned for the students of Van Buren who will not have easy access to these courses as part of a well-rounded curriculum. Regardless of the student's future career paths, the skills learned in the Family and Consumer Science classrooms are invaluable and provide a foundation for life literacy education. Altering this position from full-time to part-time drastically reduces the opportunities that are available and also impacts the person teaching these courses. What plans are being made to retain good and qualified teachers? What happens to the students who do not have access and to take classes that are cut? This creates a gap in the curriculum and offered by Van Buren. And it's important that the curriculum is not just focused on college prep students. As a former student of Van Buren, I greatly benefit from the leadership that Jolene Johnson showed in the school and how she showed that she cared for her students. The current students of Van Buren will greatly miss out on those opportunities if these proposed changes were to go through. I truly hope that you will consider all possible solutions to keep the Family and Consumer Science position as a full-time position with Mrs. Johnson. Sincerely, Christina Rolls. Brenda Endicott, please reconsider reducing Mrs. Johnson life skill courses. Today, especially, these skills are a necessity to students. They are simply not learning these skills at home. We were taught years ago. Once children become adults and are living on their own, these valuable skills will help them for their entire life. Mrs. Johnson has influenced so many students. Please reconsider this decision. We were under the impression that passing the levy would save these. Eliminating these would definitely influence my vote for future levies. This is from Natalie Howard. Hello, I'm a Van Buren graduate, class of 2005. I spent 13 years of my life as a Van Buren Knight, and while I no longer live in Ohio, my ties to the school remain strong. I'm writing to you on behalf of Mrs. Johnson. A few days ago, I learned that the home economics class she teaches is being cut down. As a mom of 2 kids, I've thought a lot about what is important for my kids in the school system they will attend. What is arguably more important than the actual content they learn is the role models and mentors they have. A school with the best resources is only as good as the teacher it employs. And the best teachers are only successful if the students they teach are ready to learn. And this is the point I want to make. Students are more likely to be ready to learn if they have a role models to look up to and if they have mentors that give them a safe place. This is what Mrs. Johnson offers her students. She's much more to the school than the classes she teaches. She is who every parent wishes for her kids to cross paths with. Her classes teach important life skills, and her demeanor makes you feel important, like you as a student matter. Van Buren is a better school because she is there. I hope you vote to keep Mrs. Johnson in her current position. The future students she has yet to meet will be better because of it. The next one was actually in there twice, so I will read it, but just so you know, it was in there by the same person, same address and all that. Malaya Gersh, Mrs. Johnson is not just a teacher. She teaches many valuable classes, but she teaches us how to be productive members of society as well. There is no other class offered that teaches the lessons that we will take away from her and her classes. Thanks to her, we know how to write checks, finance cars and houses, cook, clean, take care of babies, and so much more. But like I said, she is more than a teacher. She is like a mom to not only her biological kids, but to all of the students she teaches. Mrs. Johnson makes the effort to get to know each and every student. She always checks on us to make sure that we're okay as well. She has one of the biggest hearts, and we all look forward to either seeing her in the hallways or in class. She has told me countless stories about her former students, whether it was with a job or college reference letters, or even the times where something very personal was happening and they couldn't go to their own mom about the situation. Students feel comfortable confiding in her because she takes the time to be involved. She even attends sporting events to support her students because that is just the type of person she is. Last year, around the same time, Mrs. Myers walked into the ag room and told Miss Beeman that if the levy Mr. Myers walked into the ag room and told Miss Beeman that if the levy didn't pass, there would be important classes gone. The ag kids went to the board meetings, went door to door, canvassing, begging to people to vote yes to save the career tech department. There were countless social media posts rallying students and more. After all, the teachers won't be the only ones facing the repercussions. The students will take the biggest blow because this is our future. Our hard work finally paid off when the levy passed, which meant all teachers were saved, right? Wrong. Shortly after the levy passed, Mrs. Johnson was informed that she still may be cut. The people of Van Buren passed the levies for the students to continue to have these important class opportunities. Somehow not all teachers are safe, but I guess since it's a year later, this isn't attached to the levy. So please explain the reasoning behind all of this, because there is no justifying it. The people of Van Buren are continuously being lied to, which is why getting a new school and future levies will never be passed. Some things got to give. The Van Buren one team is consistently being preached, but this is on top of other things portrays the complete opposite. I've been told that the students have a voice, so I expect my voice to be heard and taken seriously. I know I am not the only one who feels pushed to the side. So please, I'm begging you, rethink the decision, do it for us and the future of Van Buren. Sincerely, the students. So that is the last comment that was made before the noon cutoff. There were other ones in there, but as per said, we will only be reading the ones that came in as of noon today. So that is the visitors comment section of this. So thank you, everyone. Moving on to informative reports. Really sorry. Okay. First up, elementary, Mr. Newcomer.
Hello, everybody. I don't have anything to add other than we had a successful kindergarten screening last Wednesday, which I'm working on an email to send out to our parents just to reiterate some information that Mrs. Schaefer helped me come up with. 62 kids were screened, which is very good for this time of year. And we had a very good day, and I want to thank all the kindergarten teachers, aides, Mrs. Schaefer, and Mrs. Bowman, and all the other staff members that helped out last Wednesday. So that's all I had. Any other questions that you guys might have?
Any questions from any of the board members? All right, I'm not hearing anything. So Mr. Newcomer, thank you for the information, and please pass along to everyone in the building that we appreciate all their hard work and having fun entertaining children when it goes from 60 degrees to 20 degrees. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. Clark, question mark? I don't see him on my screen.
He is probably watching his son in the musical.
Not a problem. Did anyone have any questions? Mr. Clark got his report to us and we had an opportunity to review it. Does anyone have any questions that Mr. Bloom could possibly take back to Mr. Clark? Or Mr. Bloom, do you have anything to add to Mr. Clark's report?
I do not have anything to add for Mr. Clark.
Okay. Well, I'm not seeing anything from the board members, so please pass along to the middle school and everyone that's listening that we appreciate all their hard work as well. Mr. Shout, high school.
Good evening. I have nothing drastic to add. However, I do want to emphasize our excitement for the spring events that I highlighted in my board report. That's been communicated with the community as far as the fact that we're excited to move forward with some of these spring events, including prom, a powder puff, senior class trip potentially, obviously graduation. Still working on a lot of dates and details there. I'm very excited to start talking about those things and optimistic that those are going to occur. Similarly, and again, in my board report, I mentioned our ACT testing recently took place for our juniors. And I just want to give kind of a public thank you to the Maranatha Bible Church. They host us for that event. They do a great job. Their congregation provides snacks to the kids. It just really creates an awesome environment for the kids to test. And it allows us to go about a fairly normal school day here in the building. So we're very grateful for that. Other than that, I have nothing to add to my report.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Shout? All right, not seeing any. I know that you put in your board report just tentative stuff, and we appreciate that, but at least my neighborhood is very excited and thankful that you are doing the parade again, if that continues. Once again, I know nothing is set in stone that you told us, but once again, my neighborhood, which is close to Van Buren, is very excited to potentially see that again. So I appreciate that.
Yes, we're very hopeful to make that happen.
So please pass along to everyone in your building that we appreciate all their hard work and continue what they're doing.
Thank you.
VBEA highlights.
I don't have anything to add unless you have any questions on anything.
Anybody from the board? All right, I'm not seeing anything. So Mr. Binding, thank you for all your work. Please pass along to everyone that we appreciate their hard work when it comes to helping our kids out with all this and getting ready for the 5 days a week that we're at right now. So we appreciate it. Teaching and learning report, Mrs. Schaefer.
I don't have anything to add. Does anyone have any comments?
Any questions for Mrs. Schaefer from her report? Not hearing too much from the board. I think they just appreciate hearing me talk. I greatly share that. So Mrs. Schaefer, thank you for all your hard work when it comes to it, in your department. Right, Mr. Kelly, maintenance, transportation, and food services.
I have nothing to add to the report, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Board have anything? Not seeing anything. So Mr. Kelly, please pass along. Thank you for your report. And two, please pass along to all the people that we appreciate all their hard work when it comes to the grounds, to the bus driving, and to the food services. And just driving by the school, the grounds is starting to look green, and that's exciting. So we appreciate it.
Yeah, certainly will. And thank you.
All right, athletics, Mr. Slaughterback.
Just a few things to add since the report was given. The question of charging admission for spring sports, we are not doing that at Van Buren. Actually, it doesn't sound like anyone in the BVC is going to be charging for spring sports. That is something that we will be looking at doing for next year. And then athletic committee just happened this night. Corey Rawson has voted to leave the BVC in the 2023 school year. So they will be leaving in 2 years. And that is the same year that Elmwood comes into the BVC. So just a few updates. I'll get you participation numbers for the April board meeting for spring sports. And that's all I have.
All right. Any questions from the board members? All right. Well, thank you for your report. Technology report, Mr. Smith.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. That wasn't on my report. So any questions or anything for me?
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I do. Are we still well on our way to having the projectors, everything done for in the auditorium prior to our April board meeting?
The project has begun. There was some installation that was performed last week. We're waiting on getting some firm shipping dates on some of the other hardware that we ordered. So at this point, we don't have anything. So I can't really say as far as the next board meeting or not, if it'll be ready for that.
Okay, thank you, Robert.
All right, any other questions? All right, Mr. Smith, thank you for all your hard work and we appreciate it. All right, superintendent's report.
Just, you already highlighted on one where tonight, as most of you know, the You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown has started. And also negotiations with our classified union has started, and our next round is March 31st and April 1st. And also we are scheduled at Findlay High School for this Saturday all day for the second round of vaccines. So everything is in motion, ready to get going. Hopefully there's not many people with a whole bunch of side effects, but if there is, I'll let everybody know.
All right, any questions for Mr. Bloom? All right, hearing none, thank you. Moving on to the superintendent standing committees. First up is personnel.
There's nothing to report from that committee.
Okay. Next is audit and finance.
The audit and finance minutes are attached to this meeting, and the next meeting is in April sometime, I believe, Dawn. Yes. Okay. So we will have something new after that meeting.
Okay. Transportation and facilities. Andy, you're still muted. Sorry.
You think I would know this by now, right?
It's okay. I'm gonna just say you're new on the school board side. So.
we use Teams at work, so no, I sent out the meeting minutes. Hopefully we can get them out attached to this as well. Just a couple of things to highlight. Robert already put as far as the auditorium, the cameras and that kind of stuff. Justin and his group are working with soccer at some possible lighting projects for soccer field. And then of course, thank you to John, and he detailed it in his report for walking me around the school and showing me some of the different challenges they're having as well in there. So I appreciate that and the staff's hard work on the facilities transportation. So thank you.
I think Michael is frozen.
So I thought, yeah, that was strange.
All right. And that puts us up next to school policies.
I guess that would be me reporting then, since Mike is frozen.
Yes.
Because I was anticipating him doing that. So since he's frozen, we did meet. If I look at my notes, we did discuss a few of the upcoming possible policy changes. And I think it was mentioned that they're going to be up to be read or readable in April. Is that correct, Brian?
That is correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So I guess that's all I have to report.
Just so you know, there's nothing to report for athletics and extracurricular.
Sorry, Melinda, didn't mean to skip you.
It's okay, it's fine.
Aren't you also student achievement liaison?
Yes, I am that as well. And there's nothing to report there either.
All right, that leaves us with curriculum.
Yeah, and I believe, yeah, I'm unmuted. So I believe we have our next scheduled meeting or an upcoming scheduled meeting. There wasn't much in March there, so we have one scheduled here in April. Is that correct there, Brian?
That is correct. We're going to meet in April.
Thank you.
All right, continuing on. I hope Mike rejoins us here in a few. But any old business that we need to discuss? And I'm not seeing any. So new business. Let's hear it from Ms. Dawn.
I almost started talking while I was muted. That's for Andy, by the way. I want to start real quick with the finance report. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. We're kind of in a, oh gosh, we have so much going on in the business office, but I'm going to go over some highlights of what we're doing right now. We have had a pretty eventful month on the facilities front. We're moving forward with some of our identified projects. And these are projects attached to remaining debt service money, as well as permanent improvement funding that comes from the county auditor. So we're actually working through some of the issues that we've identified, and we continue to modify our existing plan to meet the changing needs of the district. So, you know, we've had several hiccups on the facility side this month. We've had some ongoing plumbing issues, as well as some water issues that we hadn't anticipated as well. So definitely that facilities plan is definitely a soft and moving target at this point. So we'll keep you posted as we move through some of these things. Welcome back, Michael.
Sorry, I lost internet at my house. I think it was a windstorm. I'm not even kidding.
I think. We also have the financial audit in full swing. We're actually getting to the end of the audit. I think they'll be wrapping up some final items, I want to say by tomorrow. And I believe the report will start to go under review next week. So I'll let you know as we move through these final days. I'm hoping that it'll be completed by the end of March. So I wanted to also give you a quick update on the investments. Over the last few months, we have been in the midst of a very unfavorable environment for investment income. Public funds are a special animal anyway, because we have to have 100% security in any interim funds that we have, and we have to have liquidity if we need it. So that doesn't lend itself in this economic environment for us to have high favorable interest rates. So I know with the combination of unemployment rates and the presidential elections and the pandemic, it has not been kind as far as providing any kind of certainty in the economic climate. So I have been holding the strategy of keeping most of our investments very short in anticipation that maybe we have a more favorable climate when it comes to the fall. So we're just going to hold on to that for now. Brian and I also attended the budget hearing for the district at the end of February. The Tax Budget Commission met about the tax budget that we submitted in January in tandem with the 5-year forecast. So they have actually set the tax rates for 2022. And these amounts are submitted to you tonight with the resolution to accept the amounts and rates for 2022. So that's actually what comes out of that hearing. And you'll notice that the financial statements tonight, that's why I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on our results comparing last year to this year, because there's a delay in some of our tax collection. That has to do not only with the pandemic, but adverse weather as well has put things on a delay. So we're definitely running behind this year and hoping to have the final disbursements in the next few weeks. So I'm thinking for the April meeting, we'll have a better comparison. Did anybody have anything specific they wanted to talk about in the financial report tonight? If not, I can just move forward with my specific items that I have on the agenda tonight. Hearing nothing, I'm going to move forward. So item 1 is to approve the financial report as submitted, and this is for the close of business for February 28th. We need to approve the resolution accepting amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary taxes to be levied and certified to the county auditor as per the exhibit. We also have a copy of the Finance and Audit Committee meeting minutes from February. That is an exhibit tonight as well. There are 2 grants that we're approving tonight. One is the Van Buren Middle School Project Lead the Way. They received a grant of $3,600, as well as a Community Foundation Sphero Education Project for $4,000. Also on recommendation by the drama teacher, he is asking for the drama account to receive $3,000 from the show choir account, and we need approval to transfer those funds. Also approval of transfers. We're taking all of the activity from the 009 student fees account, and we're moving all of that activity to the general fund account. And just a quick comment as to why we've decided to do that. Not all students in Van Buren actually pay their student fees. So some are on free and reduced lunch. That means that maybe they're not required to pay fees, or they pay fees at a reduced rate. So some of the classes, we actually support their fees and their supplies and items that are set aside for student fee amounts. We actually cover that with the general fund. So to move all of that activity to the general fund to begin with, we don't have to do the extra bookkeeping for that later when the 009 account can't handle the additional expenses that are needed for those classes. Also, the VB Spirit Squad is an account that's no longer used, and there's a request to move that to the athletic account. That's an amount of $910.70. And also the MatMate account is no longer used. And the request is also to move that to the athletic account, and it's $79.94. And that is all I have.
All right, I apologize to everyone. Once again, my internet, it's back. So Mr. Smith, you can let me in because I'm on another one, but I'm guessing I'm just going to
make a motion. We did not make a motion before you left.
I was wondering where we're at. I thought maybe Melinda took over and went from there.
No, she's still muted. I helped you out.
All right. Sorry.
I tried.
No, that's completely fine. So we talked about the items. So I just need a motion to approve items on the Treasury report 1 through 6. I'm guessing is what the motion will want to be, but we discussed all those things. So
I will make a motion to accept items and approve items 1 through 6.
Kim is the first. I will second. And then any questions about those items that Dawn or Ms. Jacobs so nicely walked us through? All right, hearing no discussions, if you would like to call the roll.
Missy Bright?
Yes.
Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
And Mr. Lifeit?
Yes, motion carries. Those items are approved. Next item on the agenda is to go into executive session to discuss the employment and compensation of employees for public office officials per Ohio Revised Code 121.22 G1.
I make the motion to go into executive session.
Got Andy is the first.
Second. Melinda.
Linda is the second. It was like, and at least on my screen, it actually happened. Like you said the words right when Laura was getting ready to say it. So I wasn't sure who the who it was. Anyway, so the motion is to go into executive session, not too much to discuss from that standpoint, if you want to call the roll.
Ms. Seabright,
Yes.
Mr. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
and Mr. Lifeite.
Yes, motion carries. We'll go into executive session at 8:40. For the public standpoint, we have several things to vote on when we come out of executive session. For the board members that are on here, please exit or leave this meeting and then go to another Zoom call that Ms. Jacobs sent to us. And then we will leave that one, and Mr. Smith will be nice enough to let us back into this one when we come back. So that will be the order. Please, please, please leave this one and then look for the other email from Ms. Jacobs. All right, see everyone in a little bit. All right. Mr. Smith, are we okay to come out of executive session and continue broadcasting?
Yep, it's all set and looks like everybody's back in.
Okay. I unfortunately have lost internet in my area, so I am on my phone. I apologize, everyone, so it'll be a little bit different. I will try to navigate Zoom as best I can via a cell phone. I'm obviously not great at it on a computer, so the cell phone is even more of a challenge. So we are back out of executive session at 9:45. Moving on to the superintendent's recommendations. I make a motion to approve items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and items 9.
I second.
All right. Mike is the first on items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. Andy is the second. Any discussion on those items? All right, hearing none. Mr. Bloom, was there anything to talk about with those items? I know that we've had discussions both independently as well as some items discussed during executive session, but anything else on those items that you would like to talk about?
Yes, I'd like to address the family consumer science.
Not on this.
Oh,
that
I'm sorry.
Nope.
Nope. Never mind. No, not on those. Sorry.
Okay. Nope, you're fine. So the motion on the table is items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. If you would like to call the roll on those.
Ms. Seabright,
Yes.
Mr. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
and Mr. Lifeite.
Yes, motion carries for the approval of items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. Moving on to item 7. This is the approval of the financial consumer science teacher position. Mr. Bloom, do you want to discuss that before a motion is made?
Yes, please.
Okay, the floor is yours.
It is my recommendation that the board consider reducing family consumer science from a full-time to a part-time position for the 2021-22 school year. This recommendation is not related to the passage of the levy in November 2021. This recommendation is based upon increasing our efficiency in our course offerings and utilizing our resources while accounting for student interests. During the past week, many people have expressed concerns with this recommendation. I do want to thank all who took time to provide feedback that was addressed by you, Mr. Lifeite, earlier in the board meeting. I absolutely hear your concerns. I value your input, and your interest in Van Buren is very much appreciated. I will make a promise to all of you that I will have discussions and explore what options might exist for our students in Van Buren. And these discussions will happen this school year for the 2020-21 school year that we're in. If any member of the community has questions for me, would like to meet with me, call me, email me, I do encourage this. I will make a promise that I will get back to each and every community member who reaches out. It might take me some time based upon the number of people who want to communicate, but I will respond. Again, I thank all of you for taking time to provide your thoughts during this process. And that would be the end of my comment on that.
All right. Any questions?
I'd like to,
Okay.
yeah, I have some questions, Brian.
Yes, sir, ma'am.
I don't know why people think I'm, okay. Anyway, so life skills, we're going to be offering that still, correct? Because I heard that that was a concern of a lot of people on the comments that Mike read.
Yes, I'm looking at the current choices right now and students signed up with life skills. Yes, there's 18 students currently registered.
Okay. And then food and nutrition was the other one that people had concerns about. And are we offering that?
Yes, and there are currently 16 students enrolled.
Okay. And family development was also another one that I heard mentioned.
That is being offered and 23 students are currently enrolled.
Okay. And then the final one is the international culture and cuisine.
That's 16 students currently enrolled being offered.
Okay. So some of the questions that people had, one was the financial literacy and that not being addressed. And that is being addressed now with Mr. Heitkamp, correct?
Correct.
Under the econ
Yes,
and social studies.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You
And
are
that's
correct.
that's a new requirement, the financial literacy.
That in checking with the Ohio Department of Education, yes, and it is the district's discretion to decide how that is being instructed. So it is compared so you can get a social studies credit and a personal finance credit all in one course.
One class versus two.
Correct.
Okay. And then career planning was another thing that was mentioned in the comments. And my understanding, is that being covered or not?
It is my understanding that it is. And I know that Mr. Schaup is on the line. So if I misspeak, please, Mr. Schaup, speak up.
Oh, everything is accurate.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, I guess my only question is that, just like this course, we're going to continue to evaluate not only this course, but other courses and, to continue to do the same process as we are here now.
Yes, it will be. And I think I speak for Mr. Schaup that is a very accurate statement. And I've talked with Mr. Schaup many times about this and trying to offer courses and electives that our students would be interested in taking.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Mr. Bloom, we are going to commit to finding a way to better communicate decisions, including data that is driving these decisions to the public and community at large.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions? Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the number 7 recommendation by the superintendent.
I have Andy as the first on approving item 7 of the superintendent's recommendation.
I'll second it.
Laura as the second. Any further discussions on what we're voting on? Okay, hearing none. If you want to call the roll.
You're on mute. There you go.
Ms. Ebright,
Yes.
Mr. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
No.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
and Mr. Lifeite.
Yes, motion carries. The item 7 is approved. Now looking at item 8. Any motion on item 8? Okay, hearing no motion on that one, it will go off the table. Okay, that's all of the superintendent's recommendations. We will move on to item C, which is for the board's discussion, and that is the April 15th Board of Education meeting. Unfortunately, 2 board members will not be available for that. That does not mean we can't have the meeting, but we wanted to discuss about moving it. We also wanted to move it potentially later in the month to allow the most time possible to get the auditorium set up and wired so we can be live from that standpoint. So the discussion is really just about moving it. I'm good with, sorry, I should look at the camera better. I'm good with Thursday, staying on a Thursday if we wanted to move it to the 29th, which is the very last Thursday of the month. I am going to challenge Dawn and just say, is there anything from a contract / finance / anything for the state of Ohio that needs to be action taken upon prior to that date? I didn't know if there's some magical date that month that you needed.
Nope, not in April.
Okay. See, there are months like that though.
May.
Okay.
It's coming.
All right. Is everyone in agreement when it comes to potentially moving, or not potentially, to move that meeting to the 29th? Same time at 7 o'clock, and the location will be determined based on the availability of a room. Ideally, we will push for in person, but if not, then it would be via remote, and we would notify the public accordingly. Does that sound okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. We don't have to vote on that. We can just do that. That's one of the joys that I get as president, but I didn't want to just do that without talking with you all. So it looks like the next board meeting will be on April 29th. So, all right. Any other business to come before the board? All right. Hearing none. Thank you all for everything that you've done tonight. Sorry, it was a marathon meeting, but we definitely appreciate all the involvement from the community. So everybody have a good night. And we just need a motion to adjourn. I know, I was getting there.
I was afraid you were leaving.
I'm out.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I got Andy as the first.
I second.
Melinda's the second. All right. I'm not going to call for any discussion. So if you want to go ahead and call the roll.
Ms. Ebright,
Yes.
Mr. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Sorry,
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
and Mr. Lifeite.
yes, motion carried. We are adjourned at 9:56. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.